This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Detroit is the greatest! Straight up light you on fire for a Coney dog right now.
Darren McCarty comes back with Neiman in front of him. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty scores! He makes it a goal! Darren McCarty!
Stafford takes, throws, end zone, Calvin, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Motor City Sports Rant. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Jason couldn't join me. He's got other obligations, so I got Vito here, baby. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the big news in the world of Detroit sports. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's wondering, holy cow, what's going to happen with the free agent additions that the Detroit Lions made? In the offseason last year, going into the 2018 season, many people were upset. Doc, Adam, Vito, the whole crew here at the network were like, what the heck, man? Bob Quinn sat back and really didn't do a whole heck of a lot to improve the roster, and it shook out where a team that previously had 9 wins suffered and went down to a 6-10 season, I believe, in 2018. A massive disappointment for many fans. Well, the first day of free agency happened on Monday, March 11th, my birthday, nonetheless, and Bob Quinn went out and spent a ton. The first signing, Danny Amendola, really didn't impress a whole heck of a lot, but the big name, the big money contract that was doled out, $90 million for Trey Flowers. And people are speculating. They're definitely really interested and wondering what he's going to bring to the table. They're wondering, they're looking at it, and Bob Quinn made some moves. Look, I'll give him credit. He went out there and addressed a lot of needs day one, spent a lot of money. Now, the thing that I think is the biggest critique is, and the biggest source of skepticism, Vito, is that the Lions have to overpay to get free agents. And Justin Coleman and Trey Flowers, I think, are slightly overpaid based on what they're going to bring to the table. But in the end, the Lions have to do that. They have to go out there and acquire talent. Is this the right talent? Are these guys going to actually come in here and buy into the system because they have the relationship with Matt Patricia, the head coach? Obviously, I think Trey Flowers and Danny Amendola are going to be locker room guys and they can be productive. But I respect those that are critical, Vito. I respect those that say, hold on a minute. Just because the Lions went out there and paid a ton of money doesn't necessarily mean these guys are going to come in and be successful. Here's why. And I debated it a little bit with Adam on our Twitter page and our platform at Detroit Podcast. Here's what I said. Is Danny Amendola better than Golden Tate, who he's replacing? No. With Golden Tate, the Detroit Lions weren't that good offensively and tailed off. They were about a 500 team. With Golden Tate, Danny Amendola is going to produce less than Golden Tate. And so, with that said, people have to ask the question, where's the offensive production going to come from? The tight end that they acquired from Pittsburgh, he's okay, but he's not as good as Eric Ebron. And with Eric Ebron, you weren't a team that was winning in the playoffs. Trey Flowers, there's a big question mark. Like, the big thing that people would ask is, well, if the Patriots didn't want to pay him that much money, how much is his value really worth? And now he comes to the Detroit Lions, and those that are skeptical can go out there and ask honest questions like, were these the right guys to target? Because you could have went out and got different players. You could have went out this year and picked up a Kareem Hunt, and Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and then address some of these needs that you picked up on Monday via the draft. But all in all, I'm okay with it because I know currently, on paper, the Detroit Lions are better as we're recording this podcast than they were last week. Is it going to translate on the field? That's the question we always got to ask with every move with the Lions because one of the great messages that we got, and I'm thankful for all those that have been messaging us with all the questions that I've been asking on our Twitter page. They said, well, I don't care either way because I'm skeptical 100%. A lot of the fans were like, I don't care who you bring. I don't care if you bring in the ghost of Joe Montana. I don't care if you bring in the baddest team on the planet. It's the Lions. They're never going to win. So I understand that side of it as well. But I'm sitting here not as skeptical as I was last week. Do I still have a degree of skepticism? Of course. You have to. You have to be honest when you're talking about the Detroit Lions. But I'm okay with some of the moves that were made. I just am a guy that also looks at value. And I just think that the Lions sometimes have to dole out extra cash to get similar results because you could have got some guys cheaper in the free agent realm.
Well, skepticism, I believe, is a must with the Lions. Every single offseason, when they construct their roster, you have to, I think, have a sense of skepticism. And now the Lions are quickly becoming the Patriots of the Midwest, with Matt Patricia as the head coach, Bob Quinn in the front office as the GM making these moves, personnel moves. And then you bring in Trey Flowers, you bring in Danny Amendola, also Justin Coleman, who was a cornerback with the Seahawks most recently, but also played with the Patriots when Matt Patricia was there in New England. So you're bringing in all these guys that have some kind of tie to the New England Patriots. And remember, other teams have tried to replicate this model in the past of taking and copying what the Patriots have done so well and taking their players and trying to build their own Patriots team, or a team that really models and resembles closely the New England Patriots. As the Tennessee Titans added Deion Lewis and also Malcolm Butler last offseason. And what did it amount to for the Tennessee Titans? Well, not much, right? It didn't lead to great playoff success. So you would have to say, when that's the case, well, you have to be skeptical of what you're adding here in terms of pieces for the Lions. And you have to be skeptical of the Lions being able to flip the switch completely, which you really have to do to become a playoff team in 2019. You have to almost go from 6-10 to 10-6 to be able to become a playoff team in this upcoming season. So if you don't do that, well, you're not going to be a playoff team more than likely. So once again, you have to be skeptical of these Lions moves. And because of some bad moves in the past from Bob Quinn and company, especially in the draft, so not in the offseason and free agency specifically, but still, Bob Quinn has made some moves that have gone awry, that haven't worked out for the Lions in the past. So I know there's not a lot of people that still, even at this point, after these moves that were deemed to be positives, still a lot of people that don't trust Bob Quinn fully in being the lead decision maker in the Lions front office. And I think there's reason for that because of the Lions past, even before Bob Quinn, and because of teams that have tried to replicate the Patriots model in the past for success by getting their players. Because you look at what the Titans did once again, and because there's still been nobody that has taken Bill Belichick and Tom Brady from the Patriots. Because really, that's the model you're trying to replicate. And from my standpoint, unless you're taking Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, that head coach and quarterback respectively, from the Patriots, then you're not totally replicating the model of the Pats and really succeeding in producing the Patriots way with your team.
The best part of recording this podcast, Vito, is I'm still banging into the microphone.
We've had all these struggles, and we're still having fun and trucking along, aren't we?
Did any of the signings impress you? Any one of the talented individuals that they brought in on defense? I mean, Coleman's a guy from Seattle, has experience. I mean, the biggest complaint, did you see the meme in which people on the internet are undefeated? They're so funny. They had a meme with the Detroit Lions logo, but with the Patriot colors starting to overtake and colored with I
saw that, changing the logo up. I thought that was really cool. I saw it on Facebook, too, from one of our mutual friends on there, man. And that was creative because the Lions are quickly becoming the Patriots of the Midwest. And the thing is, these teams that have taken coaches, assistant coaches from the past, or their players and have tried to replicate the model and win that way, haven't won. So haven't succeeded with these, high degree of successful results. So remember, there has been a past, and the past examples have proven, Doc, thus far to a large degree, the teams that have tried to replicate the Patriots model have not done so very effectively.
Do you think that the Detroit Lions are copying the Patriots too much? That the Patriot way is just really challenging? Do you get offended that the Lions are kind of copying a model that's out there already, knowing how tough it is? For me, I view it in a situation in which, you know what, if you're going to copy somebody, at least go out there and copy the best. I know it's hard to execute, but I think those that are opposed to it will say, well, the Patriots don't go out there and make these huge splashes. They're not paying people $90 million. What they do is they rule the draft, the Patriots, that is. They rule the draft. They maximize the talent of young individuals. They sprinkle in a couple of veterans here and there, and it's a system where they can go out and get people that they target to come in, and the belief is that they'll have success, which has been shown. The Lions, unfortunately, are trying to do that with former Patriots or those that have experience, those that will come in and support Matt Patricia. But at the same time, you know, you're using these dollars and big dollars maybe in a way that is not the best for this team, especially in a league now that's going offensive. Yeah, the Patriots won 13-3. Is that going to be sustainable in 2019, 2020, 21 to have a defensive team? Is that a team that can be poised for multiple runs? Can the Lions work it so that they build a team that can get to the postseason 10 years in a row and win the division and build it similar to the Patriots? I just kind of feel like with the Lions, they'll have that one magical season. They'll get to the NFC Championship game. They might get to the Super Bowl, but to actually believe that they're going to have repeated years, year in, year out, or 2 Super Bowl appearances in 3 years is to this up until this point is still a concept that my mind can't handle. I don't believe it'll happen.
The Patriots have been known to not only accumulate talent, but to a larger degree accumulate a team. They're all about the team and having the right pieces. With the Lions, they right now are in the stage of just accumulating talent. Are they forming a solid team that will mesh and be cohesive with one another? We do not know that at this point because maybe these pieces don't fit right properly into the puzzle. And thus, these moves prove to be lame duck moves that really will prove to be failures for the Lions and maybe cost Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia their jobs respectively come the end of the 2019 campaign. So there is that as well to take into account. And then you see the Pats have moved on from guys in the past that have been Pro Bowl caliber guys that have been hugely successful, and New England unis have let these guys walk or have traded them off, such as Richard Seymour, Deion Branch, and now Trey Flowers and Trent Brown. There's a lineman who they have allowed to walk via free agency to the Oakland Raiders, and now Browns cashing in handsomely with big money from Oakland, but they allowed this guy to move on. And I think you have to also then, when that does occur, Doc, you have to be aware of the fact that why are the Patriots allowing this guy to walk freely? When they had the chance to re-sign this guy, to retain his services, why did they so easily allow Trey Flowers and Trent Brown to walk? Because guess what? They can plug in somebody else in that same position because of the system they have built and or constructed in New England and have executed to such a largely successful degree. And that's why they're not worried about replacing these guys. They will fill in the void with somebody else via the draft or via free agency and to a cheaper deal. They're going to pay somebody much more cheaply than what they would have had to pay Trey Flowers or Trent Brown. And they're more than fine with doing it because that has been the true Patriot way in years past. That's why they have won 6 Super Bowl titles. They don't fear the worst when they allow these so-called superstar players of theirs to move on to other teams because they can plug in and play other guys. And that's what has built the Patriot way over the years and has allowed the Patriots to become a modern-day dynasty.
Adam asked the question. I think it's a great one. What's the Lions' identity? What is it?
Matt Patricia, the Patriot way? I mean, they're trying to become, once again, I keep saying it, and everybody has now on Twitter and all over the place, that they're trying to become the Patriots of the Midwest. But yeah, are they the gritty team, right? Like the team that will start a brawl with you or be the hard-nosed team. I don't know if they have that identity. Are they the more the pretty team? Right? That is going to be explosive offensively. I think the doubters are hugely out there still about the Lions becoming this explosive, high-octane offensive attack. Because as you already mentioned, Doc, they're filling the void of Golden Tate with Danny Amendola. So you're taking a hit there, right? You're downgrading right there. At tight end, Jesse James is this young and up-and-coming player, and he was good last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But is he really going to be better now than Eric Ebron, who really wasn't that good? You didn't win with Eric Ebron in a Lions uni. So you can bring all of those points up, and it makes sense to bring all those points up. And then it screams, I think, to the masses when you bring all that up, Doc, that the Lions, to flip the switch and to become this playoff team in 2019, it will take more than just these moves, these couple of moves. They have to also, I think, draft the right players. Bob Quinn needs to have a better draft than he has had as Lions GM. And also, they need to find some luck and have some luck in terms of these other teams in the NFC North taking a hit and not being as good. And remember, the division wasn't that strong in 2018. Aaron Rodgers was hurt. The Vikings really failed miserably. They were a preseason favorite to reach the Super Bowl out of the NFC, and they didn't even make the playoffs. The Bears made the playoffs as the division winner in the NFC North. And really, can you trust Mitchell Trubisky and that formula for success again in 2019? So I think for the Lions to flip the switch and for them to be able to do so, it's going to be more because of the fact that the division, the NFC North as a whole, Doc, I think is going downhill.
Something that you're going to like. All the media have jokes now. Peter King just tweeted out, new NFL rule. You can't play for the Lions unless you played for the Patriots.
Looks like that more and more. It's like these coaches getting jobs because of Sean McVay. And once again, these coaches that have gotten jobs because of Bill Belichick haven't proven to be successful headmen themselves. So Patricia, still the verdict is completely out about him, whether or not he can prove to be a successful NFL headman. And that's why year 2 for him in Lions paraphernalia, as Lions headman, it's a huge year for him. And it might dictate whether or not he gets retained for a 3rd season as Lions head coach.
Are you a guy that peeks into mock drafts, that looks at who the Lions could take at number 8? Is there a name that you go, well, Greedy Williams, somebody like TJ Hawkinson? Is there somebody out there that you go, oh, well, people are talking nice about him. People are looking at, him being potentially a guy that could come in and fit some needs for the Lions. Anybody out there that you'd want Bob Quinn to draft?
I would say, I said it on Doc and Jock when I filled in last week. I know you don't remember it, but I would say not a tight end. I mean, that's all I'm concerned about. And then maybe continue building up that D line. And I'm all about building up the O and D lines because I think that's a formula for success to a large degree from team to team. And you just lost TJ Lang, right? You're moving on from him because he was a veteran and getting old and was hurt all throughout his 2nd season, really, right? In a Lions uni. So you're moving on from him, and now who is replacing him? See, for me, from my standpoint, I would like to replace him with a nice young O-lineman. So once again, continue building up the O and D lines in this upcoming NFL draft.
The other talking point that people are kind of looking at is maybe bringing in a veteran running back like Mark Ingram. Kind of, really the good thing about...
Well, they're bringing back Zach Zenner.
Yep,
that's official, so he's back with the Lions on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, Mark Ingram, I think, presents an interesting opportunity in that he could probably be a realistic thumper, a guy behind Kerryon Johnson. But I think at the same time, people are starting to gravitate towards Zach Zenner and are realizing his potential. So it'll be fascinating to see. I know you're skeptical. You're highly critical of the Detroit Lions. You're 25. You're realizing it's going to be a long time before they have success. I know you're going to leave soon, so I have to rub it in. Did you by chance get a chance to see the Michigan State-Michigan game that took place on Saturday, 8 p.m. primetime national television audience? Did you get a chance to see that game?
I have no idea why you're bringing this up with me right now.
Well,
wait, did Sparty win again? Twice in the same season against the Michigan Wolverines? Who I don't love. Come on, I don't talk about my fandom for the Wolverines over here and shout loud and proudly about them all the time. Come on, Doc.
Well, the definitive statement is that Michigan State has reclaimed their spot atop the throne of the Big Ten, although it's a share with Purdue. But in the state of Michigan, there's one team, baby, that can call themselves the greatest. And so far in 2019, it's been an epically awesome situation for Tom Izzo because, and what I like about it is when you look at it, Tom Izzo is a coach now that's been around for 20 years, okay? And he's got 1 national title, multiple runs to the Final Four, okay? And yet, prior to the game, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to call anybody out, but I go on Instagram and I read people's stories and they're making predictions and they're like, there's no way, there's no chance, absolutely no way that Michigan loses 2 times to their rival, Michigan State. No chance. And they're making predictions like Michigan's going to win by 10 and stuff like that. So I get into a little bit of the debate on Instagram and I'm like, look, how are you going to call out Tom Izzo as being overrated when he's won a national title, he's got multiple Final Fours, he created Michigan State? It's tough to win the national title with national powerhouses, perennial national powerhouses in Duke and North Carolina. So I'll say this, don't overlook Tom Izzo. He outcoached John Beilein twice, and he did it in a grand fashion. It was epically awesome. I was out with my family. I was cheering, hollering, and I did have a couple cocktails. I did throw them back, which made it so much more fun. I was intoxicated, but I was feeling good, enjoying my time. And if you go on Instagram, you'll see, if you go on the Detroit Sports Podcast Instagram, you will see Doc hooping it up, cheering. I was screaming, having a good time at the restaurant. And Michigan State did, Sparty Land proud. And I'll let you leave here on this note.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm surprised you're not wearing your Cassius Winston headband now.
That's right.
In support of Cassius and Sparty, and you're all loud and proud right now about Sparty, and you were turning the big 4-0, right? Right
Yes.
after State was victorious in 2 straight games this season, both times against Michigan. Really quick, I want to say this to rub it into you here. Who's been Mr. March, though, among the college basketball headmen, though, in the state of Michigan most recently? And who's made the Final Four runs in the most recent national title game appearances? Not your man, Tom Izzo, who used to be Mr. March. Mr. March now is John Beilein. Remember that.
Well, I'll say this. I'm a guy that's all about the results. And yes, John Beilein has taken his team in a couple seasons to the finals, but did he cash in? No. So I'll take that.
But Izzo's national title victory, that back in 2000 still matters a lot to you. Even though it was almost now, it's 2019, almost 20 years ago. You were 20?
Vito,
you were a 20-year-old dude?
Vito,
a young lad at that point?
How old were
when
you?
State won?
How old were you in 1989?
I wasn't born, before my time.
Oh.
Okay.
So
I'm just saying, I think the Izzo, the love for him, and the talking about and touting up of his March success isn't as fresh and relevant anymore for Tom Izzo. That's all I'm trying to say.
So you have no recollection of what it's like for Michigan to win a national title, whereas I, being a Spartan alum, have that memory seared into my brain, and that'll live forever. 1979, I think I don't know if the game, I'll have to look at the date of that when it took place. I might have been like a month old, but the second national title that took place in 2000 was amazing, and I was there, and it was a great experience. And I'll say this, if Michigan State doesn't get to the national title game, I will always root for Michigan to get there and lose, because to see them lose twice was unbelievable. Because look, I'll be honest, okay? I'm not a fan that is objective or is a guy that goes, oh, I respect the other opponent and I wish them all the best if it's not Michigan State. No, if Michigan State gets eliminated, what I want is for Michigan to advance as far as humanly possible and then lose. As long as they don't go over the hump and win, it is the best feeling to know that you guys got there so close. You had your parties, you had your situation, and Villanova, with some unsung hero, pimp slapped you. And Louisville, a team that cheated, a team that had really, Rick Pitino was off his rocker doing whatever he was doing with that program. They beat you, and there was that call that everybody kind of remembers in that game, the Trey Burke, I think, was it a layup or was it a Trey Burke foul, I believe?
A call not made in the favor of Michigan. It had to deal with that. Hey, you know what? I'll suck it up and admit Louisville played a better game overall-wise, though, to beat Michigan. Now, cheated and now has that title taken away from them. And Villanova wiped the floor clean with Michigan last season. That is true. I'm willing to admit it that Michigan sucked in that national final last year against Villanova. Nova was by far the better team, and it showed in the final score, too. But I just want to say this to you, and I'll leave everybody on this episode of the Motor City Sports Rant with this. Let's see what Tom Izzo and Beilein both do in the big dance this year. Okay?
Who do
Let's
you
see
think?
what happens.
Who do you think advances farther this year in the tournament?
I still think I have maybe a shocking thought to a lot of you out there, but I think Michigan still advances further. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't think either team is making the Elite Eight this year. Neither team is making the Elite Eight because Michigan, with its shooting woes, which are prolonged, is just not going to make that run like it did last year. And State is injury-ridden, right? Has been snake bit by the injury bug all season long, and specifically very recently, hugely bit, right, by the injury bug, with Nick Ward going down, Joshua Langford going down. So how does MSU replace all of that production moving forward? And not just against a team like Michigan, who once again will go into those prolonged shooting droughts, and that's why State's able to beat Michigan. Michigan doesn't have that offensive firepower. Let's see how State does when it goes up against a team that can really score the basketball.
One last thing before you get out of here. It's funny. I did get a chance to call into the Big Ten Media Tournament teleconference, and the best part of that, and I put it on our Twitter page, is I get introduced, right? And I hit *1 right away when both Tom Izzo and John Beilein get in, because I didn't know, it's my first time calling into a teleconference, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I was going to even get a question asked. So the first time around, it's to Tom Izzo on my birthday. I called in on Monday, March 11th, and the lady goes, "This is John Macaroon from the Detroit Sports."
That was it?
Podcast
Nothing
Network.
else, really? It took her that long to get out the rest of that.
Yeah, she looked at it, and it made me laugh because people still to this day, she looked at it and was like, how do I say this right?
Why is he being allowed? Why is he in on this call? Because she was saying, you're saying that because she saw Podcast Network, and she was like to herself,
now, with John,
how did he get allowed
She
to
corrected
ask the
herself with
question?
John Beilein, and it was a much better situation. But I did get a chance to talk to them both regarding the upcoming Big Ten tournament. For me, I'm not really, I value the regular season title a little bit more, but titles are great. So I hope that there's an opportunity maybe even for a third matchup. If Michigan State will come out victorious. That'd be great to win 3 times versus Michigan. But the thing that I don't think I can handle personally as a fan, if it's Michigan State in the NCAA tournament, whether it be in the Final Four or the finals or any point in that event, I don't think I could handle it because I'm a nervous fan. And I didn't watch the game on Saturday that intently. I was getting the updates through the phone, enjoying cocktails, and it was on the TV in the background, so I knew what was going on. But, man, if that ever took place, we might have to do a sit-down, you and I, and just, you can help me with my nervousness, because if that took place and Michigan won, oh, man, that was tough. That was tough last year when I went to Tap and Barrel, a great sponsor. I went to watch the games last year, and, man, Michigan took it to State, and it was tough. It was super tough, man. It was tough, but it's been a good year in college basketball. I hope people got a chance to enjoy it.
It has been so far, and you know what? You could see a third matchup against or between Michigan and Michigan State. The thing is, I don't really care about the Big Ten tournament, but I like how you said that because you're trying to downgrade the possibility of Michigan State not making the final and winning the Big Ten tourney. That's why you said. Is that why you said the regular season championship means more to you than the Big Ten tournament championship? Because you're trying to say that's your cop out. That's your cop out right now in case Michigan State doesn't advance to the final and win it all. No, I view that as your cop out.
Look at it factually. It means that over the course of 20 games, the Big Ten plays 20 regular season conference games. Over the course of that, Michigan State grinded it out and was able to win a share of the Big Ten title. Look, you can get hot and go on a streak there and win a Big Ten tournament. It's nice, but remember, the Big Ten tournament hasn't been around forever.
Since 98, I believe. Yeah,
conference play has been around for quite a bit of time.
Good point.
And I think it indicates, and also covering Oakland and talking to Coach Campy, it really does indicate that your team over the course of a long season did enough to be atop of it. And I think coaches value it more, and I think media values it more too, because anyone can get hot over the course of 3 days and take it down because you're playing back to back to back. There's a little bit of a luck factor involved, whereas when you have to go on the road and you have to grind it out, you have to deal with injuries, you have to deal with the ups and downs of a season, I think a regular season title means more.
Bigger sample size.
No doubt about it.
You know what? I don't really like the conference tournament format myself for these bigger conferences. For the Power 5 conferences, what's the point of it? Why can't the regular season champion just get the automatic bid? Why should a team that's been sucky all season long in conference play, has won 3 to 5 games in conference play, can have a huge run, get hot at the right time, and win the conference tournament, and then gets in with those less than 10 wins in conference play and an under 500 overall mark maybe? I don't think that's fair to these other more deserving teams that are in the mid-major conferences and have these great regular season marks, yet get upset when it comes down to conference tournament time.
You can follow Vito on Twitter at Vito Jerome. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. Thank you so much, Vito, for filling in for Jason. I enjoyed the time. I enjoyed the conversation, bro.
No problem. Always here for you and always here to work for free.
We might have to change the name of the network to the VSP Network.
Maybe.
Vito's Sports Podcast Network.
Let's change that D to the V for Vito. Big Vito Jerome.
I want to thank the Motor City Pawnbrokers, a fine sponsor of this podcast. The Motor City Pawnbrokers are the one-stop pawn shop when you're in need of short-term cash or are looking for quality, brand name new, and pre-owned merchandise. With locations in Detroit, Ferndale, Roseville, and Warren, their mission is to deliver exceptional value. Please go check out MotorCityPawnbrokers.com for all the great deals. Mark and the crew there, they're dedicated to making your experience a quality one. They're not like other pawn shops. Their mission is to deliver exceptional value. Definitely go check out the crew at Motor City Pawnbrokers and visit their website, MotorCityPawnbrokers.com. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this edition of the Motor City Sports Rant. Thank you for downloading and finding our great content. Feel free, interact. If we ask a question on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast, feel free, get in the mix. We read everything. We're the most interactive Detroit sports Twitter page, and we're enjoying covering sports. The Tigers are upcoming. We're looking forward to covering them. Doc and Jock, Michigan podcast. We're definitely in the mix to enjoy a lot of great sports debates and a lot of entertaining podcasts for you out there. And we can't do it without your great support. So we greatly appreciate it. We look forward to talking to you the rest of the week. And the Motor City Sports Rant airs Tuesdays on the network. Look for it.
Okay, nice idiot. You. Bye-bye.
Dulu, kotok All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.